Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for coming today. I'd like to go ahead and ask everyone to please stand as we open this National Court of Honor. I now declare this Court of Honor, National Court of Honor, in session. Today we have the honor and pleasure of recognizing two Scouts for the award of Eagle Scout, Zachary Lucas Hill and George W. Rozansky. I'd like to bring up Norm to go ahead and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Could everybody please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Two.
Norm, could you please bring up Mr. Hill for us? Francisco. Thank you, gentlemen. No. Okay. If I could have Connie and I, you may be seated. If I could have Connie and I come down to introduce Mr. Hill. Mr. Rozansky, we were going to bring you down separately, so I apologize for not mentioning your name, but life's the stage.
Aha. Got my tissues. Every time I get asked to do one of these introductions, I feel incredibly honored. So thank you, Zach, for thinking of me. I've said this many times. I don't truly get to know these Scouts until they become benchers. In other words, till they decide to hang out with the cool kids upstairs. And then by the time I get to see them, they're 14, 15, 16, and their attention, we're vying for their attention for so many different things going on in their lives, in so many directions, and choices need to be made. It's definitely a balancing act. If you've read Zach's bio, you're gonna see that he's pretty much a textbook case of that. Is this a bad thing? It depends. Selfishly, I would like to see all of my Scouts up there all the time. If you hear me talk about them, you'll hear me say, my kids. They don't realize how much they have to give. They underestimate their value. And while maybe this holds true for Zach, I feel like even when he wasn't doing scouting, he was modeling one of the most important lessons scouting teaches, and that's servant leadership. Whether it's as part of a soccer team, earning the Outstanding Service Award as part of the National Honor Society, serving as a youth leader in the church, or being a member of the German Club, you can be sure Zach was a shining example of the ideals of scouting. As far as service to the troop, Zach showed the same kind of quiet, solid, loyal leadership we came to depend on. He spent most of his leadership as a quartermaster and later as a vice president in the crew. Neither of these jobs are particularly flashy or designed to get you noticed. But without a solid backbone, no organization or person can stand tall. Zach's moral compass invariably points him in the right direction. Okay, I rewrote this like 4 times. Okay. He's kind and strong in a quiet way. As a cat person, I'm particularly fond of your Eagle Project. Yes, I have a colony of 7 strays that I feed on my porch. But his Eagle Project was just another example of exactly what I'm talking about. He reaches out to help people that can't help themselves. I also love your choice of favorite merit badge. Thank you very much. While all of these accolades are well-deserved, no one is born that way. It takes a village is a saying that most of us have probably heard before, and I think it's particular to Zach. Here in the troop, when we have them for 1 hour a week and one camp out a month, we strive as leaders to impart and to deliver the scouting promise. I gotta say, I think 179 does it better than most, but I might be biased, right? This is where it gets tricky. But family is the key. Many of you don't know this, but Zach lost his dad in 2009. I had only met Tim a couple of times at roundtable meetings, but still to this day, he left me with this incredibly strong impression of just his capacity for great kindness. And I see it in Zach. So you've seen in the bio that Zach is a third eagle in the family. Often in a family where there are multiple scouts earning eagle, there's a legacy there, right? Dad is an eagle, and there's just this strong legacy of scouting. It turns out that Tim was never even a Cub Scout. But he saw what scouting had to offer and decided that he wanted that influence in his son's lives. Thank goodness he did. Zach's story resonates with me just a little bit. Even though I was older when I lost my father, I too watched my mother step into a role and step into a hole that was so big and took so much to fill. And she did an amazing job. There's just one example. Karen stepped in to be their den leader. She stepped in to be their cub master and cheerleader, supporting Zach and his brothers in whatever they wanted to do to help them be successful. These are the most beautiful gifts that any parent could wish for. Sons and daughters going out into the world to make it just a little bit better. Zach, all evidence points to you going on to do great things and to making this world just a little bit better. And for that, I'm so happy to know you. Thanks. I'm out.
We have George already up with us. Today we have a special treat. George's mentors, Georgia, John, and JJ Nicola are here with us virtually today. So if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and roll it for us, Chris.
Good afternoon. My name is Georgia McCullough, and I'm accompanied by my husband, John, and our son, JJ.
Hello.
Who is our youngest Eagle Scout in the family. It is a great honor to welcome you to George Rozansky's Eagle Court of Honor. Georgie, as we know him, has been part of our pack and troop before he could even walk. And we're the reasons his parents were leaders here in Arizona. Only 1 hour a week, right, guys? George has always been a part of Pack 221 and Troop 222 before he was even old enough to be a real member. He was our mascot in Pack 221, and when he was just underage, became our trial in the Now Lions program. He learned how to put up a tent, cook over a campfire, and put service before self before he was even 8 years old. We have continued to support him when he moved across town and became a member of Troop 818. They were instrumental in helping him in his scouting career and complete his Eagle project prior to moving to Michigan. We have enjoyed and been proud to see George excel in his scouting. Georgie has always been a family member in our eyes, as has his parents, Carrie and George. Although we are sad in not being able to be there, we are proud to acknowledge his accomplishment achieving his Eagle rank. On a personal note, George, it doesn't stop here. Now you're an example and a resource for every young man under you. Stay the course and help build tomorrow's leaders as we did with you. Congratulations, young man. You earned it.
Congratulations, George. Continue being a derp.
Out of 100 boys that will join Scouting, 12 will receive their first time religious contact. Religious reward. 5 will earn their religious emblem. 2 will enter the clergy. 18 will develop hobbies which will last a lifetime. 8 will enter a career based on merit badge work. 17 will become scout venturers. 1 will use scouting skills to save the life of another person. 1 will use scouting skills to save their own life. 28 will continue lifelong hobbies started in scouting. 3 will attain the rank of Eagle. If I could have Mr. Tom Radford come up to lead the Eagle Scout investiture.
Hi, guys. You okay? Cool. My name's Tom Radford. I've been hanging around with Chuck Williams too long. It's a matter of, I have this write-up that of the Eagle Scout investment ceremony. What the heck is an investment ceremony? It's what these boys have invested in scouting and in time and in family and money too. They got $1,000 uniforms on, and to get to Eagle Scout. And there's a long, they know everything I'm going to say because they've been through it. But when they get here at 11 years old, let's say, they don't know anything. Really, they don't know anything. They have to learn a lot of things. But you know what they came here for? A good time. That's where Chuck has come in. He gives everybody a good time, I want to tell you. I've never had a boy in this troop. My boy is from another troop. He got his Eagle Scout quite a while ago. But I was on a district staff, and I came here to do Eagle Boards of Review for the district. And it was so appealing to me and so magnetic that I came to ask Chuck if I could come and stick around with him for a while, and he said okay. Probably to his detriment, but let me talk about the boys and what they had to go through. They had to get along, number one, with all these peers that were basically their own age, but they didn't know any of them, or any of them sometimes. They got here and they went through the ranks, the lower ranks, more or less associate them with what the upper ranks are going to do for them. The lower ranks, the scout, tenderfoot, second class, first class. By the time they get to first class, they're pretty much self-reliant. They can take care of themselves. They've cooked outside, they've camped outside, they've slept outside, they have buddies in tents, they buddy tent here. And they've learned a lot about themselves. And they didn't even know it. They didn't even realize it, of how good they got. By the time they got to the upper ranks, they were ready to learn other things about scouting, leadership, association with adults outside the troop to get merit badges, to possibly get a life skill from the merit badge program. Earning merit badges and successfully completing leadership positions that they don't just get given, they get the leadership positions because of their leadership qualities and abilities. The adult leadership in this troop are all trained, it's one of the requirements to be trained in scouting and to foster their advancement. That's the main job of a scoutmaster, is to provide advancement opportunities, not teach them how to play games or how to camp or anything else. The investment is in the opportunities. The challenge remaining in scouting was to continue to live by the principles of the Scout Oath and Law. And the boys learn that, and it's a requirement at every board of review for every rank. Every rank tests them in that. Why? Because it's the core of the Boy Scout program. You brought your kids here to learn the Boy Scout values because you don't know a lot about it, but you had faith in it. Individuals who know you personally would be willing to attest to your conduct as a scout. That's kind of cool. I'm glad I don't have to have my next door neighbor attest to what kind of a neighbor I am. Sometimes it's not the best answer. Requirement 3 challenged you to earn 21 merit badges. 11 of them were required. 10 you can pick yourself. For each of these badges, required to select and meet with counselors outside the troop, approved by the Boy Scouts of America. Our relationship with adults and Boy Scouts has become more and more important over the last few years, as you might have read in the papers. We want to make sure we protect the youth. They had to be knowledgeable in the requirements, and they come back to the troop with a little blue card all signed off, and they give it to our registrar, and now they're written in their book, and it's more of the advancement. Requirement 4 challenged you to improve your abilities as a leader. Had to secure positions in the troop. Specific positions are required for every Eagle Scout. Requirement 5 challenged you to plan and develop and give leadership to others in a service project. Scariest part, when they get down to the end and they're 17 and a half, they get really scared about Eagle projects because it's just a little thing, an Eagle project, and to them it's an Eagle project. Yeah, Eagle project, right? Humongous. Requirement 6 challenged you to reflect on your future life. Now, remember, they were just 11 when they got here. And now they're 16, 17. A lot of changes in their life, a lot of changes within the family and with their relationship outside of scouting. Ambitions and life purpose is a write-up they have to make, which is forwarded to the Boy Scouts of America with their Eagle application after completing everything else. Upon completion of all these requirements, you came to the final step of the scouting trail, a board of review. Well, they've been scared of board of reviews all along because it's like a test, an oral test. And every time they go in, they know they've got what's going to go on, and they're still a little jittery. Am I right? At the end of the board of review, our troop committee and the state of Michigan Crossroads Council approved your Eagle application and forwarded it to the Boy Scouts of America in Texas. And Texas sends back a little certificate, which they're going to get tonight. And the President of the United States, the Chief Scout Executive, the Boy Scouts of America have signed their Eagle certificate to Zach Lucas Hill and George W. Rozansky. Great Eagle Scouts.
$9.1 million hours are spent each year on Eagle Scout projects. Were you aware that some of the Boy Scout alumni include 70% of military graduates, 72% of Rhodes Scholars, 85% of FBI agents, 65% of college graduates, 65% of the U.S. Congress, 71% of the college football captains, 26 of the first 29 astronauts were Boy Scouts, and 11 of the 12 who walked on the moon were Boy Scouts. Today, I'd like to bring up Greg Hooker to lead us in the Charge to Eagle, please.
Sorry about the Lions, Chuck. My Bills are winning, though, 31-3, if anyone cares other than me. Guys, welcome to becoming an Eagle Scout. This Eagle Charge is something that only an Eagle Scout can give to a fellow Eagle Scout. If you two would please stand in front of everyone up here. And then, as a tradition in our troop, to see what each of these, so that these gentlemen can see who they now represent, if I could get all the Eagle Scouts in the room to come forward and stand in front. As mentioned by your leader, George, you do represent each of these Eagle Scouts. Zach, you have the honor, I have the honor to give you the charge on your occasion to the elevation of the highest awards in scouting. The Scouts of all nations constitutes one of the most wholesome and significant movements in the world's history. You have been judged by the Boy Scouts of America as being worthy of this honor. All who know you will rejoice in your achievement. Your position, as you well know, is one of honor and responsibility. You are now marked men. As an Eagle Scout, you have a solemn obligation to do your duty to God, to country, to your fellow Scouts, and to mankind in general. This is a great undertaking. As you live up to your obligations, you bring honor not only to yourselves, but to your brother Scouts. America has many good things to give you, and your children after you, but these good things depend for the most part on the quality of her citizens. Our country has had a great past. You can help make it and our future even greater. I charge you to undertake your citizenship with a solemn dedication. Be a leader, but lead toward the best. Lift up every task you do and every office that you hold to a high level of service to God and your fellow man. So live and serve that those who know you will be inspired by finer living. We have too many that use their strength and their brains to exploit others and to gain selfish ends. I charge you to be among those who dedicate their skills and their abilities to the common good. Build America on a solid foundation of clean living, honest work, unselfish citizenship, and a reverence for God. And whatever others may do, you leave behind you a record of which every Scout will be justly proud. I ask both of you to give me the Scout sign and rededicate yourselves to repeating the Scout oath as you stand in front of your fellow Eagle Scouts. Resolve to uphold it forever and its principles with the same ambition and perseverance that has brought you this far. Scout oath, on my honor.
I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country, to obey the Scout law, to help other people at all times, keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight.
2. Your conduct along this trail has been excellent. You have now rededicated yourselves to the principles of scouting, but there is one more important thing, and that's your future. As an Eagle Scout, you become a guide to other Scouts. You become an example to your community. Remember that your actions are now just a little bit more conspicuous, and people expect more from you. To falter in your responsibility will reflect not only on you, but your fellow Eagle Scouts and all of Scouting. The torch you carry is not yours, but it is all of ours. Thank you.
Some of the famous Eagle Scouts that these two will join the list of one day are Gerald Ford, President of the United States; Steven Spielberg, film director, producer; Robert Gates, Secretary of the Defense and Director of the CIA; Mike Rowe, star of Dirty Jobs; Hank Aaron, Baseball Hall of Fame member; Steve Young, San Francisco 49ers quarterback; and Neil Armstrong, astronaut, first man to walk on the moon. So now what we're going to do is do the presentation. We'll have the Scoutmaster, Chuck Williams, come up.
Hello, and thanks for coming to our Court of Honor today. It's quite an honor to present Eagle Scout Awards to these two young men. Zach, I've known for a very long time because both of his brothers, who you saw up here, were in the troop, and they've been in since, I don't know, I think 2008 or 2009, something like that. The family has been with us. The Rozanskys are new. They came in last May, and within the first month, we were asking, hey, George was ready to get his Eagle, and he passed it. And everything that I've known from them and seen from them so far, quality people, the kind of people that you expect to have an Eagle Scout son, that is for sure. One of my favorite sayings was in a speech that Robert Gates gave. He said it earlier. Robert Gates was a CIA director and Secretary of Defense under President Bush and President Obama. And in a speech that he gave, he said that when he went to Washington after college, he had no reason to believe that he would be successful. He had nothing, no possessions. He was a college graduate, like many of the other people, everybody else who was coming there. The one thing that he figured that made him stand out more than anything was the fact that he was an Eagle Scout. And he was there to do public service and do good. And that he did. Anyhow, let's move on. Let's present some awards. We will start with Zach. Can you come forward, please? Zach and his family, please come forward. The Boy Scouts of America is proud to award the rank of Eagle Scout to Zachary Lucas Hill, Troop 179, Farmington Hills, Michigan, in recognition of successful completion of all requirements of Scouting's highest rank. Zach Hill. Okay, can Georgie please come forward, and your family as well.
The Boy Scouts of America is proud to award the rank of Eagle Scout to George William Rozansky. I guess we're still presenting.
That's all right, keep going.
Troop 179, Farmington Hills, Michigan, in recognition of successful completion of all requirements of Scouting's highest rank. I'd like to introduce one of our assistant scoutmasters and venture advisors to come forward, who started a program in 2016, I believe, and it's been something special. I know a lot of the Eagle Scouts that come up here are waiting for this. So if I can introduce Mike Schultz.
Thank you, Chuck. As you said, my name is Michael Schultz. I'm an associate advisor with the Venturing Crew 179. And let me start by saying a highly prized trophy for those scouts and adults that complete a high adventure 12-day backpacking trek at the Philmont Scout Ranch is a nice brass or bronze belt buckle with the Philmont, one of the mountains on it, called the Tooth of Time, and it's a treasured keepsake that everyone typically gets when they complete a trek there. And I happened to steal this one from my son, who's not using it anymore. And as Chuck said, in 2016, for the troop's 50th anniversary, we commissioned custom belt buckles from a man named Norman Cutliff, who's a New Mexico Eagle Scout, and he makes these official Philmont buckles. And through his contact information on the back of one of the buckles, I made contact with him, and we struck these bronze belt buckles much in the Philmont style, same styling, but with a Babe the Blue Ox and some Troop 179 markings on there. But there is a hierarchy of medals in the Boy Scouts, and unlike the Olympic Games, where gold is the most coveted, silver is the highest ranking medal color in the Boy Scouts, and that's why the Eagle Scout badge is actually a silver medallion. And so in that same vein, we had a special run of buckles commissioned that are in a pewter silver color, and these are exclusive for 179 Eagle Scouts and Venturers who receive the Summit or Silver Award, which is their highest award. And so, I lost my track. In fact, the guy, Mr. Cutliff, who made these buckles, was so pleased with the idea of this program that the last couple of batches he's just donated to us, and we haven't even had to pay for them, which is extremely generous of him. And but even in the beginning, the program was envisioned to be self-funded, where the sales of these bronze buckles that could be worn by anyone, scout, family, or anyone, would be a fundraiser to help offset the cost of the silver buckles. And so if you're interested in buying a bronze buckle for your own fashionable accessory, I highly encourage it, and see me anytime. But today I present a silver belt buckle to each of the new Eagle Scouts with the intent that they wear it proudly anytime for the rest of their life. It is not strictly a uniform item, and I wear Scout belts all the time. I have lots of them from different camps and whatnot. And then additionally, on the back side of each buckle, I've custom stamped their Eagle Scout sequential number. You see the big list in the program. They're not numbered in there, but Zach Hill is number 245 and George is number 246. And so, thank you, and I'll present these to them right now.
As part of what we do in Troop 179, we have pictures here. We would like to present both of them at the point that they had actually earned their Eagle Scout Award. So, thank you, gentlemen. So now I'd like to bring up Zach. We'll just stay in order to have some words with us. And
hello. This is the part where I talk. I would like to begin by thanking everyone who is here today. It goes without saying that I wouldn't be here if I hadn't been pushed to do my best by my leaders and fellow scouts, and of course my mom. When I joined Troop 179 and learned that achieving Eagle was one of the highest honors in scouting, I did what any great procrastinator does and decided to worry about it later. After all, both of my brothers got it, so how hard could it be? I quickly realized that I had to do a lot just to make it out of New Scouts, which is by far one of my hardest years. New people, none of which were familiar, new skills, which seemed very adult-like compared to Cub Scouts. It was no wonder that I wasn't thrilled about having to spend every Tuesday night wishing I had stayed home. In fact, most of my time at the meetings and campouts was spent trying to interact with my older brother, Nick, and his friends instead of trying to make new ones in my patrol. Eventually, in my first patrol, the Sky Stakes, one of the best names in the entire history of the troop, I got to know a lot of my patrol mates, including Alex Jang, Grayson Yandora, George Alexander, Daniel Witzel, Donald Peters. My list of friends just seemed to grow as I got older and knew more people in the troop. As I advanced through my ranks and got to my traditional years, I began to realize what a blast scouting really was. Although the in-depth planning and learning that was required in each meeting seemed boring, we were well rewarded with each campout, the greatest of which was summer camp. Quick disclaimer, I was, and still am to some degree, not the greatest fan of going on campouts. To me, it seemed sort of pointless to waste my weekends in either a cold, drafty tent or having to endure the rain and wet clothes each night. But this perspective changed whenever I got to Cole Canoe Base to spend some of the best days of my life. By far, some of the favorite times were had during summer camp, going to merit badge workshops, parties, and getting to experience nature. I think one of the most memorable things, though, was having long, drawn-out conversations with friends by the campfire long after taps. I believe that this is the reason why I've always loved being a part of Troop 179 and what made me keep coming back. Those really are memories to last a lifetime. Later down the road, as I started high school, I was tossed into the venture group, which to me were just a lazy version of the other scouts, and I can neither confirm nor deny. I can confirm, however, that my time spent in the venture program was twice as much fun as my years before. With age comes a great deal of things, including wisdom, trust, and more importantly, better food, which I had gotten to have with all my ventures. I'd like to take a moment to thank Connie, Mr. Stevens, Mr. Schultz, and all of my venture leaders who made my time great. I'd also like to thank Mr. Brown, my Eagle Scout project advisor, who had the patience to help me work on my project. I had given my first serious thought about getting Eagle right around the time I started high school, but of course I got sidetracked between sports, volunteering, academics, and doing the last prerequisite of my personal management merit badge, aka one of the most tedious times in my life. When I finally did start, I knew that I wanted my project to mean something special to me and not do a service project at some random park. Not that there's anything wrong with that. If you know any details of my Eagle project, you'll know that I obviously love cats, and I decided that one way to help them would be to build winter shelters for them. This idea took many twists and turns, and eventually decided to include scratching posts as well. Of course, the most difficult part was the planning and fundraising that was required ahead of time, but I believe that this experience has greatly improved my ability to lead and accomplish a goal all by myself. To me, an Eagle Scout is someone you can trust, someone you can turn to or lean on when you need help with a problem, someone who can lead but also knows when to follow to get the job done right, someone who will go out of their way to make sure everyone is safe. Most importantly, an Eagle Scout is someone who is able to make others smile and teach them how to have hope, even when you may think there is no one to turn to. I hope that I exhibit all of these qualities each day of my life so that I can be that person to turn to. Finally, I'd like to thank Chuck, who we all know has done an incredible amount of work for the troop and is one of the greatest ever to be in his position of Scoutmaster. And of course, I'd like to thank my family, my 2 older brothers, Alex and Nick, who were the main inspiration for me to go all the way to Eagle. Most importantly, my mom, who clearly stated that if I didn't mention her, she would not let me go to the ceremony. Thank you.
Hello. I actually didn't write anything, so I'm just going to be speaking this from the bottom of my heart. I want to say thank you to 3 people, mainly because they got me into scouting, which was John, Georgia, and JJ. They got me into their little pack when I was 3, and that was the best time that I ever had. It was a great time being with them. Everything that we did, from the Pinewood Derby to the tenting in the backyard, and recently finding out that I was the unofficial mascot of the pack, which I never knew until a few weeks ago. So that was pretty interesting. I want to say thank you to my family for pushing me through all of this, Boy Scouts and Cub Scouts especially. I wouldn't be here if they wouldn't kept pushing me to do everything. And my scouting career was difficult, jumping from here to Michigan from Arizona. I took a bit off just to focus on scouts, but then coming to this troop was the best idea, I think. Chuck, you made me feel very welcome. Connie, you also made me feel very welcome. And just everyone in the troop. I love everyone here, and they just feel very inviting, very open. I can feel like I can talk to any of them at any time if I was down about something. I don't know what to say much except thank you for everything, friends, family, everyone that's here. Thank you.
Myself and Troop 179 would like to offer congratulations to both Zach Hill and George Rozansky for your outstanding Eagle Scout Award. With that, I hereby declare this National Court of Honor closed. We have, right now, after this, an afterglow put on for our gentlemen. Outside, there's all their things that they've done in scouting, I lost my word. Displays out there where you can see everything that they've done in scouting. And then if you would join us for refreshments in the other room. So we're all set. Thank you for coming today.